Okay, so we saw what the graph of an exponential looks like if the base is greater than 1. What if the base is less than 1? So I'm just going to do the same thing again. I'm going to plug in a bunch of different values of x, find the values of y, plot the points, and see what the shape looks like. When x is -3, we have a half to the -3, which we can just do on our calculator, but also the negative exponent means take the reciprocal, so that's 2 to the +3. That's 8. A half to the -2 is 4. A half to the -1 is 2. A half to the 0 is 1. And then a half to the first power is a half, of course. A half squared is a fourth. And a half to the third is an eighth. Okay, so this time it looks like I've got the big numbers on the negative side and the tiny little fractions on the positive side. I think this is going to look a lot like my previous graph, just flipped. Let's see what it looks like when we plot those points. Again, I only need positive numbers on my y-axis because my y values are all positive. So let's see. -3, +8, that's easy to plot. -2, +4. -1, +2. 0, +1. And then the fractions, I have a half. Half of a half is a fourth. And an eighth is just real small. Fill in a smooth curve through these. For some reason, this feels harder to draw. But we get the same shape, just mirrored. And now it's when x is getting really big that we're getting really close to the axis. So we draw this horizontal asymptote again to show that we get close to that line, but don't cross it. So what do we see? The domain is still all real numbers, and the range is still the positive numbers. But now, when x is a really big positive number, we're multiplying by a half over and over again, which gives us very small numbers, but still positive. So when x is a very large positive number, f of x gets close to 0. When x is a very large negative number, f of x, that's when we have very large positive numbers. Right? Negative powers of a half are like the positive powers of 2. And then this graph again has a horizontal asymptote at y = 0. The key difference between the case where b is positive and b is negative, the big place we see the difference is in the end behavior. And in particular, what we see is that it's flipped horizontally. So the key difference between b greater than 1 and b less than 1 is just the end behavior.